summit comes together to say it can be done. Yes, we can. There are opportunities.
There's a phenomenon called safety in numbers, which basically means the more people are out there riding, the safer it is.
With just a couple of statements that I want to, before I introduce our founder. For years now, the South Los Angeles community has witnessed an array of elaborate and athletic events which has taken place in its midst. Oh, that's yours, I'm sorry. The advertisements of these well-supported events have been a way of promoting physical activity and wellness among its people, i.e., the Cancer Society, the muscular dystrophy, diabetes, and the inner city youth and families can only imagine what that may be like. We watch it on television, we say, ooh, Lord, there goes one of those events happening downtown. The television shows, the media, everything is just astronomical and it's wonderful. We at City Lights wanted to pull that all together and present that to the inner city. We wanted to build something similar in the inner city. We wanted to introduce that to families and their young as a way of exercise for one, but having fun for another thing, and just come together on one day and just with excitement and just enjoy each other. So about 6 years ago, a young man who was actually a part of the event here in Los Angeles downtown began to struggle with the ideas of how do we bring this whole concept into the inner city. With that, he began talking to folk and getting feedback and critiquing what he saw and what would be more beneficial for the area. He kind of teamed up with another person, a fireman, who took on that same kind of interest, and voila, today was born City Lights. And that young man is Mr. Mark Johnson, who is the founder of City Lights. And we're going to have him to come before you before we go into, if we can get that pulled up, into our presentations, and just have him to tell you about his dreams and his vision and how everything came to be. Okay?
First of all, I want to say thanks for being here, and thanks for inviting someone for having us here. Coming from the inner city, basically my vision was to bring something very positive to our community, something that we never had in our community. So I mentioned became obesity. So basically, what we promote physical fitness and health awareness for obesity, diabetes, and physically challenged kids throughout the greater Los Angeles area. And basically, one day I was just at the YMCA on Century in Vermont. I said a lot of kids was very overweighted, oversized, and a lot of kids in our community wasn't eating in an appropriate way. So I wanted to bring something positive to our community, not only positive, but trying to figure out how can I bring cyclists to our community where people can see our community, and how can I bring the family back and unite the family back together. So basically, I started talking to a lot of the folks, and they started talking about the bicycle, and I'm not a cyclist and stuff like that. So I started going to these other events pertaining to cyclists, but it never was in our community. So I wanted to create something like that to bring that in our community. So I came up with the idea to put something called Inner City 21 5-Mile Bike Tour Festival, and I didn't want to charge no kids to participate in this event. And how I was going to do that with no money. So, and my partner, Jerry, he's the fire captain of the city of Los Angeles. And he said, man, how you going to do that? We don't have any money. We're not a 501c3 yet. So I said, well, we're going to make it happen. So February 2004, we filled out the application for the IRS. we called the end of March. And we found out it took in between 6 months to a year to get the 501c3. But when I called IRS back in 2004, the end of March, I spoke to one of the workers there. They said, what we're going to do, you guys, the only inner city programs, that's what you're doing on the Safe Passage Way and try to create bicycle lanes in our community. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push that through. And within a month and a half, we had our 501c3, so we created, and it took us a month just to do our first one. And when we did our first one, I met Tana, you know, through Metro. Yeah, I met Tana through Metro. And I was just searching, trying to find out how to get sponsors because we didn't have no money. And I didn't know how to go by getting the grant from the government. So what I have done, started knocking on a lot of doors, and voila, we started getting all the sponsors. Then I started partnering with Councilman Bernard Parks, Councilwoman Janet Hines, and so on. So Wells Fargo became one of our major sponsors, and they liked what we was doing. So what they did, they adopted us and started basically helping us on our proposal. Then the county Parks and Recs and the county, they adopted us also. So the county Parks and Recs, what they have done, they gave us 9 or 10 county parks that we can put in our programs, our bike plan. And Lottie will most likely be mentioning more on the bike plan size on that. So it gave us an opportunity to continue to grow. And as we kept, every year, we started getting more and more kids. And I started wanting to partner with Special Olympics. You know, I said, there got to be a way how we can get the Special Olympics to our community. And not only the Special Olympics, the LAPD. How are we going to get the LAPD involved also? So I wanted to go to the rowdiest part and the negative part that things was happening at, and to prove to the community and prove to the media and the folks on the outside to come into our community, start helping us promote the inner city and start building relationships with our kids and with our community. You know, so Alex Bond, I don't know if you guys know Alex Bond, he kind of schooled me, told me where to go, so basically I started going to the LAPD. So I met the chief, and the chief liked what we was doing, thought it was a great idea, and so on. I'm going to keep speeding it up because I know we only got an hour here. So then they partnered with us this year for the first time. They came on full blown, and the chief Gardner he just passed away. He became my friend, and he wanted this to push for every year. So we're going to dedicate this year in the memory of him, and every year in the memory of him. Then Special Olympics, I found out how to get that. So I met the president of Special Olympics. So now the Special Olympics coming aboard. Now this is going to be our first time doing inner city Special Olympics, along with our bike tour and our festivals and our health fair. You know, so we just gonna keep going. And what we're trying to do, we're still young and we're still growing, and we're still trying to get help in those that want to continue to get their kids involved in what we're doing with kids. It's family. What it is, you're creating family back together. And what it is, every year we see family, more and more family getting on bicycles, waiting for the inner city. She's got me out. She's got me out.
He's going to talk all day.
No, I'm not.
No. He's going to talk all day. But go on and get it, because he's done all the presentation already.
But anyway, so on. But she'll take over from here. We are.
Yes, so.
We came in about 3-4 hours. But I appreciate you guys coming here, though. Thanks a lot.
We simply love Mark, and I guess you can see that by the committee members that have shown up today in efforts to support his dream, and with now our dream, because we have taken on that same desire to advocate for the health of our young people. I had to pass out a brochure so that you can at least get an idea of who we are. This talks about who we are, about the organization, about our mission, which is to promote health, nutrition, and physical fitness awareness to all youth and adults, with emphasis on those physically challenged and or dealing with obesity-related problems throughout the greater Los Angeles area. And Mark touched upon it really well when he said that we want to make sure that we provide an opportunity for the inner city youth to create some memories with parents, but also to adopt a different way of exercise. And that way of exercising is by cycling. Normally, in the inner city, what we see is because of the negative ails of the world, young people are only able to ride their bicycles maybe from the front of their house to a neighbor's house, or from the end of the block to another end of the block, without the whole fear, and then with even some fear, depending on who's in the neighborhood. It's easy for them to get their bikes stolen, you know, just all kinds of silly stuff that shouldn't happen, but it happens on a daily basis. Young people get bikes every Christmas, and before that year is out, bikes are practically gone because people are either jumping the fence, taking bikes, or taking the bikes from the kids as they're riding along. Whoa. However it goes, that's how serious it is. Jeez. So what we offer, what City Lights offer, is an opportunity for them to ride their bicycles in a safety zone, I guess you would say, by bringing in the LAPD, by bringing in other adults, mainly their parents. If we can get their parents to be a part of what we're trying to do, come out and ride as well, because they too need an alternative way of exercise. A lot of parents, you will find, will go to gym, what do you call them, gym facilities, the 24-hour fitness, and what's the other people in the area, you know, that offers the little aerobics and all of that kind of stuff. And they try, you know, for a minute there, they're determined to do some form of exercise. But financial hardships come up on them, and, you know, they kind of shy away from that.
Right, so some solution are not really cost any money, just put the lights and, you know, the permission to use the park later tonight.
Isn't that wonderful?
It's not cost really.
That's wonderful. That would be wonderful. But in this area, in these areas, it's not safe to be out at night. It's not safe to, sometimes in the day, it's not safe. So you have people that are bold enough to just go on and do that walk, yeah, which is great. But you also have boundaries in the inner city. You have boundaries. A lot of young people are not comfortable going beyond those boundaries because you got to deal with a lot of craziness. And I'm just going to say craziness because so I won't have to go into a whole lot of other stuff. But you're dealing with a whole lot of stuff that shouldn't be happening. So you have that element. And this is an everyday thing. This is every day. So what we offer is a safe haven where they can come out, ride with the police officers, ride with the radio station, obtain some safety education about how to protect themselves with their bicycles. And I know a lot of you have seen young people and some adults riding around with no helmets because they're not understanding the seriousness of how important it is to protect yourself, how important it is to protect your head when you're riding. Accidents happen. We have sidewalks that are unlevel, we have streets with potholes, we have all of the other crazy stuff, but that's not stopping us from doing what we need to do, which is carrying on with the idea of introducing them to a different way of living as far as the exercise is concerned. And it seems to be working. Our first annual event, we had 2 young people. We had 2 young people. And we deal with 2 parks, I'm sorry. We deal with Jesse Owens Park, and that's our main park, where the whole event happens. But we also, that's where our 21-mile bike tour takes place. But because people are not agile enough to do the 21 mile, they're not prepared for that, we offer the 5 mile, in which we work out of Magic Johnson Park. So the 21 mile goes through the inner city, and they come around to Magic Johnson Park, and we pick up the little young folk who are, and some parents who can't do the 21 mile, And we pick those guys up and we take them back over to Jesse Owens, which is wonderful. So we had 2 young people who had never rode, I bet, further than, what, maybe a mile or 2 straight, you know, up and down the street maybe. But when you're doing what do you call it, when you're going straight, what do you call it, when you're consistent, I guess, riding the 5 miles, it can be kind of tiring. But Lord Jesus, the babies rode that 5 miles. The police department came around, the radio station came around the corner. We were yelling and hooping and hollering, and they felt like they were bigger than life. And they picked those young people up and they took them on to Jesse Owens Park, and boy, were they tired when they got there. But they did it. They did it, and we welcomed them. And then the following year, we had more. And now this is our 6th year, so we're expecting much, many more people. And I want to bring one person to come up, to have her to come up, because if it was not for this young lady providing us with helmets for the young people, providing us with bicycles for the young people, then we would still probably be over there trying to figure out what we're going to do. So Tana, why don't you come up and just give them an advice.
A gentleman that Mark mentioned, Alex Baum, who's like my adopted dad, but many of you may know has been the forerunner of bicycling here in LA, told me about this wonderful program getting started, and I met Lottie. And she and I have a great time every year seeing the kids. We do a 2-part presentation where we actually get together with as many kids as we can, we teach them bicycle safety. And then the next, about 2 weeks later, they actually do the ride. And we provide, fortunately through grants of other programs through the school district, I also work with LA Unified. We have bicycles and helmets, and it's amazing the amount of young people when we first started didn't know how to ride, hardly at all, didn't have a helmet, didn't have a bike, so we, you know, here I loaning out 25 bikes. I was thinking, oh, I don't know if I'll ever see these again. Every one of them came back, no problem. Kids all came back with the helmets and the bikes to me. So 6 years later, the last ride, when all the adults came around the corner, the kids outnumbered the adults.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. Lottie and I were like, yes. And it's a great group to work with because it's family.
So we thank her.
Thank you, Tana.
Tana has been on board since our conception, and we don't know what we would do without her. As a matter of fact, born out of this whole wonderful, I guess, event is the fact that we also offer now a 1 1/3 mini tour to our little bitty babies. Yeah. Those babies that cannot ride in this 5 mile, and I think our age is like 9 and no, from the
3 to 9
and up. So from anywhere from 2 years old to actually they were like 10 and 11. They didn't care, but they would come out. Magic Johnson has a 1 1/3 mile walkway, and Tana would bring her bikes out, do her safety education, fit them with their helmets, and they will ride around the park until they're just tired. and to a certain degree, we have to just say, you know what, okay, it's time to go. This is it. But they ride, and they are so wonderful, and they look forward to it every year. We do it the Saturday before Easter, which is coming up in a minute. So they come out, and they are just so excited about riding. And when they see the tents go up, they know that we're there. So they become, they just bring their friends. And they ride, and we give them certificates. Tana is wonderful where she gets helmets donated. They get helmets, and they get fruit, and they get water.
The Marines?
I'm sorry?
The Marines? Is it the Marines that are there?
Oh, well, the Marines are there. We also share a site with the Marines, but they're there to do an Easter egg hunt. So because they're there to do an Easter egg hunt, we offer the physical activity, which is not together, but since they're there, okay, we become cohesive and get along. But we offer this to, we work with also California Nutrition Network that offers, our Friday campaign that offers the fruit, t-shirts, water, and then we do our little certificates again. We do our certificates and make them feel as though they've actually earned something more wonderful in life than they could ever imagine. And it's great, it's great. So this year, I also wanted to take a moment before I open it up for questions, is to just talk about our event, which will be happening on May 30th, our 21 and 5 mile tour. And just to give you a little snapshot of what that looks like. We start out that morning, Saturday morning. Of course, setup is always crazy, getting everything in place. And then we have riders for the last couple of years that have been coming. We start at 7, just registration. They're there at 6, waiting for the registration to even open, which is wonderful. We think that's a great thing. And so we start out. The police department is there. Councilman Bernard Parks comes out. Hopefully this year, Janice Hahn, Councilwoman Janice Hahn will be there, and other council people will be a part of that as well. But we start out with a little speech to say, yes, you can do it. I'm so glad that you're here, all of those kind of things. The radio station is in front of everybody. They take off, the police department takes off, and they kind of use themselves as a shield for all of the riders as well as for the adults to make sure that nothing happens, to make sure that they are safe from the traffic as well as any other stuff that may happen out of the ordinary. We have the medic team that rides with them as well in case somebody decides they want to pass out, that they just didn't have their water today, you know. So we have that. And we have our riders, and we have some children that can do the 21 mile. And they have a wonderful time. So we go out, we make sure that we have water spots for them, as you do in any marathon. That's what we do. The great part about it is that when they're on their 21 mile tour and we're on the phone saying, okay, where are you? Where are you? Because we got children that are building up over here at Magic Johnson because it's happening simultaneously the same way. We got children that are coming in and we got them, they're fitted, they're waiting, okay? An hour go by, you know, children get up and get kind of edgy. We're waiting. Okay, they're on their way, we got them doing little things, okay, we plan the little thing, ride around, do your little thing. And that keeps them busy for a minute, and then you see them back come and go, okay, you know what, where are they? Okay, we're back on the phone. Soon when they are about a mile away, come on y'all, get ready. They will migrate to the street because where the holding spot is like an area in the park, but there's a driveway as well. So we got to make sure that we protect them from cars coming in or whatever. Man, all these kids go over there to they're waiting. They're just waiting. And when they come around the bend, it is the best feeling ever for them to see that, man, we're about to do something different here. And that's what we try to do with them. And it's our hope that in the process of having fun, building these memories, they will gain something inside of them to say, you know what, maybe I can do this on a regular basis. Maybe I can do this every day. When me and my friends go out, Mom, maybe you can walk us to the park and maybe we can ride. During this, you know, when it's light, we can ride, we can do some things. We are struggling with education, making families understand that biking can be a form of exercise. It has never been looked upon as a way of exercise, of having fun per se. A lot of folks that you will see in the inner city use their bikes for going to work. You know, actual transportation. So to try now to kind of restructure their mind to understand that you can also use the same bike, pull your baby's bikes out, and you guys can take a ride down the road. Making them understand that. And I think we're getting that. I think they're sitting and they're waiting to see how long we are going to be a part of this bike tour. Every year we go by and we see a few more people that will come out and say, hey, y'all. You know, and I think our first ride, people, did you see anybody? They just saw people coming along. But now we get people saying, yeah, okay, I remember you. Oh, I remember them. Here they come, here they come. And you have the kids say, yeah, I remember you. So it's getting where we need it to. It's going where we need it to go, and it's just a visual thing. And once they continue to keep seeing it, then I know next year you'll have a kid to say, you know, Mom, I want to be a part of that. I want to do that too. Come on, Mom, you can do this. Why did I say keep saying mother? Come on, Daddy, let's go do this. Let's go do this. We can do this. And that's what we hope to do. It's just use our cycling as a different tool of a way to exercise is what we want.
To bring them together.
Okay. Yes, sir.
In about the same time that this ride sounds like it got started, in Echo Park, a group of cyclists started what's become a big social phenomenon in lots of part of the county called Midnight Ridas, where mostly working age adults get together in the evenings after work or on the weekends, and they'll go and basically it's like a party on wheels. There'll be architectural tours, things like that. What are the barriers to that happening in this particular portion of Los Angeles County? I mean, aside from maybe riding through different gang territories and someone being on the ride from one gang, because that same thing happens in East Los Angeles if you go through the wrong area. The people there kind of get a little incensed. But so far things have gone well, but what sort of barriers are to that type of bike ride happening in South LA?
I want to answer that. Because I've been working dearly with the LAPD, not just the LAPD. That's happening, going to be happening real soon, and they're doing it now. You know, we have the cycling team in LA doing that all the time now. You know, but they're from Belizean, you know, called Motion. So there's a lot of people doing that. See, they think you can't do that in the city, in inner city because of the gang. But it's not like that. It's become more safe patches. So it's not like when 10 years ago, 5 years ago, when people say you can't do it. We made that happen because we're looking at the safety behind that, and we're trying to continue to do that, and not only continue to get them to ride, but we're trying to show the city we need more bike lanes because there's no bike lanes. So that's the problem in our community. So as we continue with the bike tour, they will start adding the bike lane, and I spoke to a couple of people pertaining to adding these bike lanes because we have one bike lane on Century, and that's only a quarter of a mile. And that breaks off, you don't see it no more. And that's the sad part of it. Then when they put a bike lane, they put a bike lane and the residential streets to the main street. So we're going that route. We're doing really well as people coming into the community and building that. And just like the bike tour, and you can see the family every year. You see family more and more practicing up, gearing up throughout the year for this because they want to do the 20. Well, now it's going to be 23 because we partner with City of Inglewood. Now we got to go through City of Inglewood now. Yeah. So it's getting further and further.
What was the name of the group that you said that does that now? And
Motion.
And how do they organize themselves? The Midnight Riders got really started with the internet for whatever reason, and it's been really successful. But
I'll give you my card. I can give you somebody's number, and you can, after that.
Thanks.
One moment. Let me get her.
I'm a health promoter from Esperanza Community Housing Corporation.
Okay.
And we have 300 promoters and for the 13 past years. So we work with families, and I collaborate as a volunteer with a community land trust. It's a new organization trying to find affordable housing. And we started working with the community planning people, and we really talk about this seriously with them. And we have a survey. I just suggest you and offer you we already organize. We already know the people for the past more than 10 years. We have a relationship with this community. We already organize the people. Just call us and we can bring people for workshops, bring their own bicycles. We are, at the same time, we are providing home safety and other issues related to safety for years.
Oh, wonderful.
As health educators, we are.
Wonderful.
So just put on the table and offer your continued relationship and networking.
Wonderful. One more question. I'll get you in 1 second. Yes, right here.
Just, you're aware that that Crenshaw Boulevard is going to become a metro corridor?
I've heard about it.
10 years.
Yeah. Do you use Crenshaw?
Yes, ma'am.
You do?
Yeah.
So maybe you need to start talking to the planners about putting in a bike lane down there.
Well, we have. I spoke to the councilman
Okay.
because that's Councilman Bernard Park's area also. you know, along with Mike Herb Wesson.
And now Ridley Thomas.
Yeah.
Who's from that area, yeah.
And he's board of directors on the Metro.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
I see, okay.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold it, just 1 second, the young lady in the back.
I want to know in regards to the people who are kind of like planning this event. I mean, planning the event. I know that I go around South LA a lot, and I go around Compton and Watts, and I ride my bike and I take public transit. And it's like funny because the people who I work with, my colleagues, like more professional people, they're kind of like, oh my God, it's so dangerous there. I mean, I know in the 90s, like LA was totally crazy, but it's not so, I mean, not so much now. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, people have this mindset that it's like, it's really, and it's really not. I don't know at night. I'm not there at night, so I don't know. Maybe it's totally different, but I know that when I'm there, I don't feel like anything's going to happen to me. So, and I wonder if that, I mean, in regards to people taking it as far as transportation or working or something like that, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, you know, you just have to take it to recreation, or you have to have the cops with you. I don't know necessarily if that's, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that. I mean.
Well, you know, we did a survey with, what was the name of that organization from Sacramento? Odyssey, with Odyssey. And they did, they actually brought their bikes, and they did a survey of the people and how they felt, did they feel safe riding the public transportation, the trains per se, within that, actually in the inner city right there. And I can tell you that I ride the train a lot. After 6:30, especially at the connection with Green Line and Blue Line,
Tisha.
at the Rosa Parks Station, girl, I have to talk to the police. They have a substation there.
Yeah.
But the crowds of young folk now that kind of take over that area, and they're just loitering. I feel not for. Well, maybe I've just been out there for a long time, so I don't feel for my safety. I know that they're not going to bother me. But I do know for folk that are coming into the area that may not be aware of that, it can be very intimidating. And I also know that the mindset of folk about the Watts area, about South Central itself, has been very negative. And you have people that live there who buy into that same mentality. So yes, young people are threatened by young people, gangs, yes, they are. Adults are very intimidated by young people, yes. So again, it depends on how aggressive you are. How aggressive you are as far as going about your business. It depends on what you see when you're there. I myself, I walk down the street and do what I need to, because that's what I've been doing all this time. You understand? So I guess it's just the mindset. I saw you first, and then you.
The question is Mark, right?
Yes, sir.
When you were organizing all that stuff, like, you probably don't have a count, but like, how many hours did you do it? And then, but how many roadblocks did you come up against?
Yeah,
And you're like, oh, this is a mess.
billion
I'm not
or
going there.
2
But how
billion?
did you? What was it? Your mindset, or what? How did you go around a lot of that stuff where people say you can't do that?
Willpower. And not only willpower, I was a part of the gang back in the days. You know, and by me being a part of it, I knew what was going on, what was not going on, and by being a part of something that got me where I was from there to here, I knew what it take to make that happen. And you know, so it took me 24 hours, 7 days a week. But I went to every community and every neighborhood around here and see what was going on. And it wasn't about the gangs messing with people doing that. They wanted something in the community, and that's what people was lacking. We was absent of about a lot of things going on in our community. Then when positive things come in our community, you don't see a lot of.
But you must have run up against, like, I'm not saying gangs, but up against people in government saying, whoa.
Yeah, I ran against a couple of folks, even sponsors, you know, and told me not to do it at Jesse Owens Park, do it at another area, and you know, I shed some tears, and but I had some strong folks behind me, you know, and they kept pushing me, you know, so I said, you know, we're going to show the city, we're going to show the state that we can get this done. And we did, and those same sponsors, those same people did that the first couple of years. Now they sponsor, they're on board, they calling us. Right. So we no longer have to call them anymore. They calling us. But we just hung in there, you know, and we stayed strong. And now we keep adding on folks, you know. So after Special Olympics come up, we're gonna see a lot of them jumping on the board then. You know, but it took a long time.
Okay.
You're welcome, sir.
We're gonna have this young man.
I'm gonna skip.
You're gonna skip? This young man, before you, I think the young man in the hat. Did you have your hand up?
No, but I could answer questions.
Well, don't this young man, and then this young lady, and then you. Okay.
So, I had one question, and I mean, maybe you guys can address this as some people who work in other parts of the city, is that because we have this down in Santa Ana in Orange County, and in low-income areas, a lot of people who use bikes as transportation, they use it, I began to notice, they use it as a way, almost as if they're trying to walk faster. They ride it slowly on the sidewalk, no helmet, you know. And a lot of times, like being a cyclist, I can tell their bike doesn't fit right. That's why their knees are like coming way up, you know, or they're riding like a little kid's bike or something. And I'm wondering if, as part of your ride or as part of your training, Tommy, still as part of the training, if you're able to not only get people to use the bike as exercise, but get people who are already using the bike to see a different way of biking in the street, even, you know, without bike lanes, but bike safely, take the street and use it as a transportation mode, the way some of the people in the advocacy community see it. Whether some link, you know, what your guys' experience of seeing that is. Because I know people who bike a lot don't realize that there's a whole other population of cyclists who don't think about it the way we do.
Right, right. Well, what we're trying to do now is we haven't taken it to that degree, but one of our goals is to start a bike clinic. Part of the 1 1/3 inner city, 1 1/3 mini bike tour, is to educate young people about bike safety, of course, but to show them how to repair bikes, to show them well, we actually want to do bike clinics in the parks anyway. I think we talked about that. But we want to make sure that they understand how to repair their bikes, to come in and actually get the safety education that is needed in order to make sure that they're safe when they are outside and riding, you know, in the streets. And hopefully that can be a part of what we need to introduce to the adults as well. People will ride on their rims to a certain degree, mainly because they don't see that they need to put extra money into this, and it's going to make them a little bit safer, or even educate. Because see, you know, I've never thought about whether you ride a bike slow or whatever, you know, that it was going to be, you know, that there's a right way to do that. So that would be something that we can take under our new goals, our objectives, and try to do. But that's real good. I didn't think about that. Yes.
I will take my question now.
Oh, cheater.
My question was, have you considered or strategized or already made efforts to engage some of the young people or young adults that have a gang presence or that make it more difficult for the streets to be bike friendly, to participate in the event, or has that, how do you bridge that to get them?
They're already participating in it. Right. They're already there. Okay. You wouldn't know. Yeah. And that's the problem, you know. They're looking at you, they stereotype a person, but you wouldn't know. Yeah. You know, we even have aeronautical museums. These little kids that fly the airplane and they young pilots, they're part of the gang, but they changing their life. They come out, it might be about 15 or 20 of them, you know, but they're changing their life. And I deal with those kind of guys, what you're saying. So it is like a peace movement. So then that's why it's not like, you know, like it used to be, like the young ladies say back in the 90s and stuff like that. You can ride around, because I see people at nighttime riding bikes all the time. You know, so I do talk to those type of guys and young ladies, and they are a part of the ride.
One moment, this young lady.
My question is about the parks. You mentioned that you chose certain parks on purpose to to kind of create safe zones. And so, besides the one-day event, how has your movement created more safe parks more on an ongoing basis?
How did it, 5 years ago, that park was the rowdiest park. Now it's the most peaceful park.
Which one?
So other Jesse Ore parks.
Jesse Ore.
Now, yeah. And so you don't have no crime. So other parks that I'm affiliated with, like she was saying, like the guys, since I was involved with those guys back in the days, I have gone to all these parks. Now they want to do the same thing what we're doing. We got Helen Kelly Park, Enterprise Park. We have Mona Park. So there's a lot of parks want to do the same thing because they see the movement. Because this is a change of lifestyle and change of mindset and movement in the community. If we made it work, so they wanted to continue to make it work. You know, so we have like 5 to 6, 7, 8 different parks that they want to make it work for themselves. So they come to the meeting, they see what we're doing, and they taking it over to to those parks, and they trying to do it in Gardena now also. So it's moving. We have someone came Thursday to our meeting, want to take ours to Victorville. So we don't want to just hold it here. We want to take it to every inner city as possible to create peace and make it safe to ride bikes and continue to make that movement.
And the majority of the children, you know, young people, they really want something to do.
Yeah.
They want to do this. It's like having a bad apple in the group, you know? You just get there's always something, some negative, something that always want to start or try to create havoc in the house. But for the most part, young people want to do something different. They want to have a positive, something positive in the neighborhood. Somebody else had it. Hold on, somebody. Oh, you wanted to ask your question now. Okay.
I don't know what you guys are trying to say.
No sideburns.
I know, the courtesy to skip over my question. I'm
sorry. You are still wonderful. You're still wonderful. You're still wonderful.
My comment on this workshop is this. I've heard, not so much the last question, but I've heard a lot of like, oh, you know, you should, and people coming from the audience say, like, here's how to change your already successful organization. Here's an idea. But really, I think what I'd like to devote a slight amount of overtime to is having some of the other bike movers and shakers here who are not that familiar with city lights hear a little bit more about how we should try to partner with these kinds of organizations and try to mix health in, and also just trying to figure out, like, really help us understand the perception that people get from the local news or something of the neighborhood, and like, look, just go out on the street, just get out there on the road, you know, ride in the road, and like I see city lights and these bike tours as almost like a take back the night kind of thing, because it's daytime, but you're taking back this part of the road, the concept of getting somewhere on a bike or touring on a bike, you know, just breaking out of that really thin recreation only kind of perspective. And so I'd like to hear a little bit more input from the City Lights crew that's in here about like how we should receive your program and help it flower even more.
Oh, I just wanted to say, since I'm a PR person, I'm also assistant editor of a newspaper, English Day. And so the first thing to do is don't believe everything you read. You know, because a lot of times it is the hype, and like what Mark is saying, that's how a lot of people get the negative perception. And unfortunately, like someone else said, it takes on, even in the neighborhoods, people are scared to go out when they actually should be willing to go out and exercise. And so if you can, after attending this workshop and based on what you've heard from here, be sure and spread that to others that you know. And when you're in general conversation with your friends and whomever, let them know that there are people in the inner city areas that do want to exercise more, that enjoy cycling. And
I've got one quick question I wanted to ask. I'm most familiar with Midnight Riders, which I brought up before, but a key moment in that movement's history was an internet site, midnightriders.com, which has turned into the locus for a lot of bicycle-related activity. The event postings were done for this event, months ago, and I think a lot of the response that we've gotten across the county with the more ground-level bike advocacy movement happened there. Do you have anybody that's helps to spread your message, because I think that's what Midnight Riders and other blogs have had the advantage from, is that there are a lot of college-educated people, and I have a laptop that I saved up for and this camera, so I'm my own media operation. You know what I mean? And that's helped to get my personal message and also the messages of my friends out on the internet.
Right.
Same thing with the Bike Oven. I know how to design and manage websites, so I set up a little Bike Oven website gets picked up in the search engines well, and I know about that. Is there anybody at City Lights that is like that crazy technical savvy person that do you need the resources to do this?
To add to that, I want to bring in another thing.
Answer that question. Yes, we do have someone like that. And not only we have someone like that, we have MTA. So MTA, this year it's going to be on all the transit bus line also. And not only that, we partner with Green Dot School. So every time we partner up with someone, they do an email blast. And what it is, we're still educating folks to come in. So we are doing it, but we're trying to continue to do on a magnitude that everybody see what they're doing. Then the Coliseum on the electric board over the freeway, they do it for every year. You'll see it on the electric board. So we are moving. Right. And Clear Channel, they want to help us out this year. So we're trying to get billboards. So we're doing it.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, what is the target? What is the percentage of the target that you guys want to bring on there that actually really frequently looks at the internet, though? That's what I want to ask. Is it 100% like the people who go on Midnight Riders?
No, it's not 100% yet.
So maybe internet isn't necessarily the number one.
Well, the thing is, when you want to get your word out, you want to use all the avenues possible. So definitely, internet is very key and important. We know that that's what a lot of young people spend time on the internet. So what we have to do is make sure and expand, even utilizing Facebook and all of those methods, because all that brings the writers in. So we'll utilize that. We'll utilize the print media. We'll utilize television. We really would like to have the television come out, cameras come out, because that really, does a lot to get you over. And then, secondly, like you said, by partnering with all the other agencies, including the Children's Hospital, they take part, because the health fair is very, very key component. And they all have their media sections and their PR people, and so that gives us even more visibility in the community.
Yeah, because we have a health pavilion and we have a tent with 60 by 40.
Right.
So that tent is filled up. So they are helping because they want people to come to them. So we want to make sure. So this year, the LAPD, they doing the same thing. They want to make sure they get promoted the right way. So they interacted with the sheriff's stations, so the sheriff department. So they want to make sure it happens in the community. So we are getting there. We're still learning how to make this a successful, but we're growing fast than we expected.
How many volunteers does you have to take in the past to operate, to run the day or around the weekend of the event? Like how many volunteers?
We started out with about 15 our first time.
Yeah.
And I think we're up to about 30 volunteers, because what Parks and Rec, their staff where I think Sue, and I can't think of her last name, she's not there anymore, but what she did is she passed down the word to the majority of the county Parks and Rec for their staff to come out and help us. And so with that, we also have, of course, we recruit volunteers. I'm sorry?
Green and Clean.
They come out. So we have a lot of organizations that will work with us and that are more than willing to come out and help us out. So about 30 people I think we had last year.
And our family members.
We really need about 200 or 300. So you really,
Wow. And like the bike clinic that you're talking about, I think that's an interesting area of partnership, because like we were talking about earlier, people who need to ride a bike to work every day, a lot of times they don't know how to fix a bike, and the bikes they get are pieces of junk.
Yes.
And that's one of the problems.
Yes, exactly.
Well, can I answer that right there? We're working on that program. So the county parks and recs, I spoke to those 9, they would employ the people in the county parks for the program, and we just oversee the program, but it'd be a city-like program. But they want it in the county parks and recs. And that's another thing a lot of people don't know. County parks and rec in the city, they want this program in the parks, and if we offer it to them. So we're putting this together. So we partner with Green Dot schools. So we're where now we got all the schools in green dots to promote also. You know,
But we'll be training those folks to do those clinics. And that's where we do outreach to the community, to our health partners to come in, and people like you to come in, MTA to come in, with Tana to come in and do those workshops for us to train, make sure that those staff members are trained properly so they'll know exactly what to pass on to their young folks. Yes, sir.
I didn't totally understand his big question that you were starting to answer, but I was curious to hear more.
Oh, I'm sorry, go on, yeah.
Oh, well, I kind of tried to summarize it very quickly, saying that we will interface all the different types of publicity together to promote the event and really encourage the community. I think that was your thing, to how can other people come on board or help out in getting this message out?
No, I was actually saying, how can you guys tell the community what to do?
Right.
Instead of having the community, we know about bikes.
Yeah.
We're the bike community. We're the establishment bike community. Right. But you guys are new thing, and you need to tell us more. You know, like
like I said, becoming involved. If you'd like to volunteer, there's different areas that we have different departments that we're broken up into in order to put the event on. Love your expertise in whatever area you have, or if you just, even if you don't have expertise in a specific area, but you want to come out and see what it's about, because it is uniting diverse groups together for a positive cause, especially in the areas of health. When she mentioned about family, there were a couple of women that rode bicycles with their children, and they said to me that their commitment is for next year, they hope to not be smoking. You know, so, you know, it's just all kinds of good things that come from this. And then just the goodwill, like what you heard about during the inauguration, everybody was on this high and feeling good. Well, that's what we have happening during this event, because it is for such a positive cause. And we know there's a lot of kids that are obese right now. When we talk about the economy, and a lot of parents are feeding their children a lot of McDonald's because it's a dollar menu. And so we're trying to help them hopefully to avoid that. We want to
No pizza can ho Han Solo.